In this era of globalization, information technology is playing a very important role in bringing different stakeholders in the corporate sector closely. A number of such devices have been developed through which a person can take a several person at a time. Not only this, they can video chat, that is, they can see each other while talking. Thus, conference calls, video conferencing, voicemail, etc. have become an integral part of the new generation and for the various organizations. These facilities not only enhances the efficiency of the office person but also give flip to business transaction. Hello everyone, I am Anubha Walia, Director in leading training and executive coaching firm Prism Philosophy at New Delhi. It is imperative to be familiar with the modern devices and know the nuances involved therein. In this session, with me, you will learn absolutes of various techniques we can use in detail. So, after this session, you will be able to prepare for and conduct a conference call. You will learn conferences call etiquettes, analyze interactive call techniques, prepare for a video conference. You will be able to describe the precautions need to be taken during the VC and differentiate between the ordinary answering machine and voicemail and state the advantages of various voicemail by leaving a message on a voicemail and respond in a very effective manner. They are voicemail messages. So, let us start. A telephone call, which is a person can talk to several people at the same time, is called a conference call. It is of two types, a person talk and other called people listen only. On the other called participants can also speak. For conference call, a specialized service provider is involved who maintains the conference bridge or who provides the phone number and PIN codes that participants dial to join the conference call. It is possible to record questions and answer details and also to meeting a particular participant. In business enterprises, it has become common to talk to the remote parties both internally and outside the company through conference call. It is used for client meetings and also you will see for sales presentation, team meetings, project presentation and updates and so on. It makes workers more productive as they are not required to go out of the office for the meetings. Now, before we make a conference call, it is important to keep certain important factors in mind. These includes having a clear agenda, appropriate technical setup, conference call etiquette and so on. So, a telephone call is which a person can talk to several people at the same time, as you know, is called conference call. And here you will see the conference call has become very common nowadays used by the organization. Now, before we make any conference call, it is really important to have all the important factors in place as I mentioned earlier. So, what shall we do? Firstly, you need to send all participants the dial-in number and passcodes if needed. Be clear to participants if you are offering a toll-free number or if they are responsible for long distance cost. With international groups, make sure your number include the international country code. Have a backup plan for potential technology failure. There is another important thing is consider arrangements for hearing impaired participants, ITY or stimulus transcription in a chat room. Consider participants' availability just as you would for any other meeting. Consider their time zone, very important, because whenever you are scheduling, if there is a mismatch in the time, you will not be successful in your objective. So, communicate local time or how to calculate local time when sending meeting announcement. Distribute supporting document files before the call starts. Inform participants if they have to have a file or website open on their computer desktop. have an attendance maintenance record for your benefit and purpose with the list of name, emails, phone numbers in case you need to contact an individual before, during or after the call. Now, as the facilitator, it is helpful to log on early and be the first online 5 to 15 minutes prior. Greet and know who is online. Appropriate would be ask early arrivals to greet subsequent arrivals as a team building activity. Establish the protocol of announcing one's name when taking a turn speaking. Find out if there are any individual time constraint, I have to leave early types and adjust accordingly. This is particularly important if you need the input or participation of the person leaving early to achieve the goals of the call. If the group gets off the agenda, refocus but take notes of the side issue for later attention. Break up long stretches of one speaker. When appropriate, go around to circle for inclusive participation. You need to consider breakout sessions where pairs get off the main call, calls each other, interact and call back on to the phone bridge. For decision-making processes, restate or repeat key issues. If your participants can be online at the same time they are on the phone, consider web-based collaboration tool to create shared electronics notes, flip chart, etc. Sometimes allowing side charts, for chat breakouts can increase participants' engagement. Generally, the large group you will see, the more direct your facilitation needs to be to keep small number of people from dominating the call. During the call, stop and ask for feedback. Share leadership duties to help less engaged people become more involved in the call. Ask every individual to lead section of the agenda. Assign people different roles and take notes. Timekeeper, keeper of unanswered question. Also, call from quiet rooms. It's very important. If you use a cell phone, put on mute when not talking. Avoid speaker phones, or if using speaker phones, use the mute button. Use quality handset for good quality. Avoid low quality cordless because you will see a buzzing background sound. Avoid any kind of paper rustling. Now, cautions with multitasking. Some is unavoidable, but remind people about attention and occasionally call on participants who are silent if they have anything to say. Anyone who is leaving for returning must announce. On long calls, office breaks and quick stretches, remember we are more than just ears. Speak clearly. Slow down if you are a fast talker. Be aware of the impact of accent and slow accordingly. Be enthusiastic and use a tone appropriate to the group. The first impression is really important. So what is it that you can consider? Brainstorming. In this technique, you ask participants to note down others' contribution to brainstorm after the brainstorming period is done. Ask people to comment on the words people choose to express their ideas. Help the group look for convergence and divergence around the creative process. There is another technique that we use, which is called telephone breakout technique. Pair up participants in advance and share a phone list. During the call, assign a task to the pair and have the pairs get off the main call and work for 10 minutes and return to the main number as stated, time to report, debrief the activity. Another activity which you can use is just 3 words. Phone comments can drag on, especially for large groups. The techniques is to do a round of comments from everyone on the call with the constraint that they can only use 3 words in their response. For example, at the end of the call, they can actually in fact figure out, and here you might say, what 3 words describe your experience of today's call. The notes from these exercises can then be later reviewed and observed for similarities, differences and patterns. There's another task that you can use is the clock. The clock can be used on conference call to help people get and keep a sense of place and participation in a disembodied conference call. It can be used with structured online chat as well. Ask everyone to draw a circle on a piece of paper and mark the hours like a clock. Then each person is assigned a spot on the clock as they join the group. So the first person is 1 o'clock, the second person is 2 p.m. If there are more than 12, start adding 1:30, 2:30, etc. Use this initially to create a speaking sequence for introduction and then use it to ensure that everyone speaks. Participants can make notations by names and use it as a visual tool to match names, voices, inputs, and it becomes very powerful exercise. If you are doing a multiple rounds of speaking, vary the starting position on the clock. There's another option, location map. For widely distributed group that meet regularly, create a map with pictures of participants near them. A video conferencing is a form of telecommunication which simultaneously allows 2 or more locations to interact via two-way audio-visual transmission. It helps people sitting at different sites to come together for a meeting. This meeting may be between 2 people, each in his or her private offices, or it may involve several sites with more than one person in large room at different sites. These sites may be anywhere in the world. It helps share not just ideas and discussion but also documents and information displayed on the computer. Even you will see we need a need for planning. Now some amount of planning is needed to be done the video conference. True, there is nothing really complicated about it, and it would be generally take the same amount of time as it would for a face-to-face meeting or a telephonic conversation. Some key things to note are: make a note of the number of people and location participating in the video conference. Also, you need to make an agenda to circulate among all participants before the meeting. Mail this to all other sites too. See that lighting is appropriate. Diffuse lighting is preferred so that light is evenly distributed and shadows are minimized. You need to draw drapes or blinds to cover windows. Ensure that chair placements are such that all participants are visible to the camera. You will find that a U-shaped or a V-shaped arrangement facing the camera is usually the most suitable. It is really advisable for participants to wear neutral colors, as bright colors and complex pattern can be distracting. Call each location 15 to 19 minutes prior to the scheduled start time to make sure you are all connected. Do a test call before the meeting is ensured that lighting, chair placements and microphone placements are all optional. You need to see that all participants are seated before the session begins to avoid going in and out during the call. Now, during the call, the planning is all done, but for the video conference to go off smoothly, there are a few precautions to be kept in the mind during the talk. So, while you are in a video conference, as in any meeting, avoid side talking. Walking in and walking out in the room, typing or doing any other work that distracts or causes sound disturbance should not be done. If more than two sides are participating, it is advisable that sides that are not talking mute their microphones so as to minimize disruptions due to noises. Remember that there is a short time delay in video conferencing. That is why it is important to leave a long pause between two speakers than in a face-to-face or telephonic conversation. Wait till the other person has clearly finished before you continue the conversation. Always make a verbal response, as a visual ones like nodding, shaking the head may go unnoticed. You will also see often when you telephone somebody, you may hear a recorded voice informing you the person inability to take the call and asking you to leave your message after a beep. This is what we call the voicemail service. True, though in some cases it may still be the old answering machine, while earlier people used only the answering machine to leave messages and the voicemail, which is far more sophisticated and with many more functions. It is fast pacing the traditional answering machine. Basically, whereas the user had to be physically present near the machine to retrieve messages from the answering machine, the voicemail allows you to listen to your messages from anywhere using a central number that lets you access your account. Voicemail offers many communication advantages over the answering machine, apart from the ability for users to check their messages remotely. Voicemail users can easily save, delete and archive messages, again using simple keypad entries. Voicemail system often also incorporates caller ID features such as number from which the message originated, as well as the date and the time of the call. In some cases, user can then choose to instantly reply to a message, especially if the person who left the message has a voicemail box on the same system as the recipient. Leaving a voicemail message is a simple task. Just remember to keep it short and simple. So we always use the word keep it short and succinct. Be prepared to leave a message. Do not fumble, stutter or repeat unnecessarily. Leave out the part that are not so important. They can be brought up when you have the opportunity to speak up to the concerned person. Do not repeat, but you may need to spell out difficult words, especially proper nouns that the listener may not be familiar with. If you need to leave an address for mailing, remember to add the postal pin code. Keep the listener's perspective in mind while leaving the message, especially if you are making a sales call. One important thing to keep in mind while leaving a voice message is the need to maintain data security. You do not ever leave any information when you feel that the information is regarding somebody's invoice number, any figure such as amount or even credit card, passport, driving license details if they are available to you. All of this information is regarded as sensitive data and we have to take care as it falls under the Data Protection Acts in most countries. Visual aids. Visual aids are the items that are displayed during the presentation to emphasize a particular point or event. For an example, a marketing personnel of a company gives a presentation to the management about the performance of the product vis-a-vis similar product of other manufacturers in the market. If he or she simply speaks about the relative sales of the product, it will not be so impressive. But if it gets displayed and you can see it in the bar graph diagram showing a relative sales of the product, it will make its point eye-catching and impressive. That's why I always suggest visual aids are often used to emphasize specific features to make audience understand a point more clearly, to create curiosity and enthusiasm so that it leaves a lasting impression on the audience. Visual aids are of different types such as graphs, charts, photographs, line sketches, video clips and so on. Now the selection of a particular type of visual aid depends on the purpose. Either overhead projector or slide projectors were used for presentation which had very little possibilities of displaying visual aids. But now PowerPoint, which has been developed by Microsoft, has become a most prominent use and has actually become unlimited possibilities of including visual aids in the presentation. It can be used to make a point memorable, summarizing the results, even make the audience understand a point more easily, and highlighting certain events or effects arouses the interest of the audience about a certain point. Now the different types of visual aids like presentation software. As I mentioned, PPT, what we call as PowerPoint, is the mostly and the most commonly used software for presentation. It incorporates various features such as different types of sizes of fonts, animations, colors and educational posters. The presentation through posters and flip chart is the most quite common, particularly in a big conferences. A poster can be made attractive by using different colors for different themes. There are graphs, bar graphs, small photographs which can be shown on the poster. Another one is educational infographics. This is similar to poster, but different things are presented in the form of graphs and photographs, and text is avoided. We also use a flip chart. Is a large pad of paper or a stand. It is a low cost, technological and non-technological basis which can be used, a low-tech solution to recording interactive meetings and brainstorming session. Flip charts are ideal for collecting information. With flip charts, we also can use another option called whiteboards. So there used to be a whiteboards as well as blackboards. They are having a conventional support for explaining sequence of ideas or routines. We can also use paper handouts. Paper handouts are also used for passing out the findings. It must be decided judiciously when handouts are to be passed around during the talk. Given too early may cause distraction, and are given too late may not be useful, as by that particular time audience might have taken unnecessary notes. You can also use videos. Video clips in the recent years are a popular theme during the talk, has become quite common, and as it makes a particular viewpoint lively, but it should be relevant to the talk. We can also use artifacts and props. Steward in the aeroplane uses artifacts to explain the safety precautions. Thus, a particular point can be more elaborately explained with the help of artifact and props. So you have learned about the changes modern technology has brought about in how we do business. The advantages of conference call, video conferencing and voicemails are many. Similarly, many visual aids can be used during the presentations. PowerPoint is the most commonly used software for presentation. It incorporates various features such as different types of fonts, sizes of fonts, and different types of animations, color combination, background shades, etc. So a judicious use of which can make your presentation very impressive and attractive. Some others example which I mentioned of visual aids were educational posters, educational infographics, flip charts, whiteboards, paper handouts, video clips, artifacts and props. As a result of the advantage of these technologies, the world has shrunk and the distance have become almost irrelevant. These technological advances are of great benefits, but we need to remember that to use any new method, one must learn to prepare for it. Now, because the technology is fast, preparation is paramount. The key to becoming comfortable with these aids is to learn to master them and not to get overawed by them. With that note, thank you so much and have a great learning and keep reading. Namaste.